Welcome to Supers Live. This is the Super Modified Ultimate Pavement Racing Series, and tonight we're going on a blind date, and we're taking you along for the ride. That's right. Tonight we're going on blind date. A random track was drawn after practice, and we are. I think a few guys are a little nervous about the blind date. Hey, I'm Bob Gangwer. I'm going to be your host tonight on the Supers Broadcasting Network. We're so glad each and every one of you could join us here this evening for live Super Modified Sim Racing at its finest. We are in the state of New York to kick off our Empire State Super Series regional tour. What that is a year-long tour within a tour, a championship within a championship, if you will, of New York State tracks. So the drivers tonight are not only running for the Supers Gold Crest Championship points, they're also running for their ESS points. We call it ESS. I know there's a couple extra letters in there, but it makes it a little easier if we just call it that. So tonight we kick off the 2019-2020 Empire State Super Series with NASCAR heat. As we said, it was a special blind date night. We had three options on the table before we went green flag racing, or it went into time trials. And we drew a track called Diamond Speedway, built way back in 2007 by Mike Jackson of DSES. And imagine this. Supers has been around for 16 years. It's the first time that we've ever raced at Diamond, and there you can get a great shot of that Diamond Speedway built by Mike Jackson. It's a big, wide half mile, multiple grooves, even for the super modifieds that are flying here. The tricky part of this track, though, is the off camber turn number 4. It throws you right up to the front stretch wall. Keep your eyes on the guys coming out of turn 4 tonight here at Diamond. It is going to be exciting. This is a NASCAR heat race and part of the Supers Heatfinder.net Super Modified Challenge. I want to welcome in Heat Finder regular Rick Black Knight Walls in tonight from Warsaw, Indiana, and glad to see him participating tonight. Well, earlier, as we said, after the track was drawn and the guys knew who their hot date was going to be, we had time trials. And since it was the first time ever at this track, the track record was set at 14.561 seconds by the 25 of Bob Gangwer. So now that doesn't mean anything, though, because of this being an ESS race. This is going to change things up a little bit. The drivers are lined up by their ESS handicap points. The last 3 handicap points will go. That's how they'll line up for the heat races. Now, what they have to do is they have to qualify out of their heat races for the inversion. What they're doing is they're racing to get their time back, essentially. So the top 2 finishers of the heat races will be going, they'll be going into the feature, and then they'll get their time back. Slowest driver out of all the qualified drivers from the heat races will start on the pole for the feature. Now, as we said tonight, Diamond half-mile speedway with 2 degrees of banking, off-camber turn 4. The drivers won't have to pit tonight in this 50-lap feature, and they're going to try to do their best to keep the cars under control. As we said, this is a NASCAR heat race. Supers uses NASCAR heat, R Factor and R Factor 2, but it's all super modifieds. What's a super modified? Well, you want to know more about that. We got you covered. Just go to supers.net, click the About tab, and then click Super Modified 101. You'll learn more about the ultimate short track race car, and you can also learn more about why they're unique in all of motorsports. Radically offset 1,850-pound roadsters running big blocks and small blocks, fuel injected, big right rear tires, and a big wing on top. Make these cars the ultimate short track race cars. So go to supers.net, click the About tab, and then click Super Modified 101. And you can learn about super modified race cars. We also want to remind you that Supers isn't your ordinary sim racing sanction. We're the original super modified sim racing sanction, one of the oldest sanctions for sim racing out there, starting in 2004. And we realized right away that it was more important to give back to others than it was to take for ourselves. And so we determined that we were going to do that by starting the Dion Parish Memorial Benevolent Fund for Super Modifieds. All proceeds that are donated to SUPRS go to help injured drivers. Most recently, Brad Keyser, who won a Thanksgiving turkey at the Turkey Trot, was able to donate that Burger Smokehouse turkey to injured Supermodified driver Jeff Russell in Boise, Idaho. Jeff, recovering from traumatic brain injury, suffered in 2010 at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. So SUPR's always giving back, and we do that through the Dion Parish Memorial Benevolent Fund, and you can do that by making a donation of any amount by going to suprs.net/site/donate. Well, folks, I think we want to talk a little bit about the exciting race that we had last week before we get up to speed here for the heat race, first heat race. Here is how it's going to go, or here's how last week went. We had a doubleheader last week, R Factor and NASCAR Heat. The first race was an R Factor Wing Supermodified event, and it was won by Brad Keyser of Liverpool, New York. Rob Warren was second, and Keith Powell was third. That was pretty amazing because it was the second R Factor Wing race in a year. For the second year in a row, Brad Keyser came home the winner of that race. Then we switched mods. We switched game platforms. We went non-wing Supermodified racing, and Rob Warren became the all-time SUPRS winner at Bristol when he picked up his 6th overall feature win after the conclusion of the non-wing race for the Supermodifieds at Bristol Motor Speedway. Steve Callahan was second, Bob Gangler was third, so a bit of a mix-up in the top three, except for Rob Warren. He was pretty consistent with a first and second. So that just continues to add to his tally as SUPR's all-time winner, now over 120 wins for the Supermodified Ultimate Pavement Racing Series. And what that does is really put Rob up top in the points race. It's going to be pretty tough for anybody to catch him, although there's a lot of racing left. We're not even halfway of our 43 race season. Rob Warren, your current leader, with 7 wins on the season, pushing towards his all-time record of 15 for the season. He's at 1180. Keith Powell in second at 1073. Bob Gangler third at 1012. Then Brad Keyser and the veteran Carl Becker rounds out the top 5.